Let me handle this. Detective disorientated. Are you still wondering where you are? This is Martinez, in case you've forgotten. I advise you not to overstay your welcome. Yes, extremely normal. I'm not a gardener, by the way. I'm a legal counselor for the Dock Workers Union. So let's get to it. You're looking for Titus Hardy? You think he has information that will help you? Maybe he does. That's Titus. Talk to him. But know this. I'll be keeping an eye on you. No strong arming. Nothing official. The District of Martinez does not recognize your authority to make arrests.
It doesn't matter if you recognize our authority. We will make an arrest, if we have to.
She says nothing. Her glare speaks for her. You're sure Easilio mentioned something about a lawyer, Elizabeth someone, but you're too dumb to remember what it was.
Like I already told you, I'm a legal counselor. Do you have hearing problems? What you want is of no significance, officer. Don't test your authority. In Martinez, you are no one.
I saw what you were thinking. You want to say, what are you going to do to me? Don't. Just because it's in your head doesn't mean you have to say it. You will not lose out on anything good by not saying it.
Aggressive? You make your living enforcing violence. These people are just dock workers.
So you were spying on us, and now you represent murder suspects. Just dock workers.
Listen, you moral intern lackeys. You're a mob, enforcing the unlawful privatization of Revachol. 20 fat men in the Occident are stealing it all, and you're their bodyguards.
Fuck yeah.
So ask what you came to ask, or get back to your commanders. Look, a comedian. Do your job, ask your questions, then get out of Martinez.
This is where you say your bit.
Detective.
Precinct 57's finest scans the room, leaving the speaking to you. He trusts you. Maybe against his better judgment, but he does.
Oh, this is about him. A real looker, that one.
You sure took your time, huh? Waited for him to get real ripe and pretty for you.
Oh, he was a real pretty boy. Hanging up there, letting out that pretty boy smell.
I can't for the life of me understand why you did it. I mean, I would have just left him up there. You must really like cleaning up other people's shit.
You might want to start asking your questions now. It's not going to get better than this.
These guys are so macho, they're ready to confess to first-degree murder. Ask if it was them. Starting from the right. Boot size 44. Blonde man, in his 30s. Overbearingly masculine. Sitting on his right. Standard working boots. Size 45 or 46. Eldest in the room. Probably mid-50s. Smoker. Quiet. Across at the other table. Hobnailed working boots. Size 43. Gang tattoos. Mesk or Sarah Mauritian. In his late 30s. Early 40s. A symmetric burn on his neck, resembling the letters Loss Loss. Has he tried to burn it off? leave that life behind. And then, standard working boot, steel reinforced toes, size 46, the big dick, wide at the shoulders and lean at the hips, rugby cap, fingerless gloves, and numerous scars, a little under 40. The emblem on his vest says Rowing Club. A little patch below it reads T. Hardy, Captain. In the far corner, standard working boot, steel reinforced toes, size 44, 40-something, non-alcoholic beverage in hand. You squint. Is that a plectrum? On his neck. Forget it. It's not important. Size 41, with the light step. Not a child, after all. An older man with a rat face, mean, watery eyes, and 2 front teeth missing. In the middle, heaving and wheezing. Big guy. Boot size 46, deep marks. Probably carried the victim over. He, alone, is 130 kilos. Add the man in armor, and you could easily exceed 220. In conclusion, these 7 are the actors on the crime scene. The footprints were theirs, but there's a discrepancy. Exactly. You've stood there for about 4 seconds, not saying anything. Hit them with questions. Where's the 8th Hardy?
The fuck is with you, fella? What are you talking about, madman? There's no 8th Hardy Boy. There's 7 of us and we're all here. Or what? You want to be the 8th Hardy Boy? We ain't hiring.
Actually, boss, we've been talking and we think she could maybe...
This person Glenn wants to hire, he really respects her.
Shut the fuck up, Glenn! I do the talking here. Now what the fuck do you want, cop?
So let me get this straight. There is an 8th Hardy Boy. It's a she, and you don't like us talking about her?
That's right. We're not talking about this. This is a private Hardy Boys matter. Nothing to do with your shit. And you're not cops here. Don't go digging around if you don't want a bullet in the back of your head. I'm watching you.
Good. We are all watching each other. Officer, your question.
There's no point in pushing it further, he thinks. This is already a victory. We'll learn more about this 8th Hardy sooner or later.
The pretty boy. You guys really love talking about that pretty boy.
Funny. But my partner and I have a serious matter to discuss with you.
Container belt? Like we use in the harbor? Because we took it from the harbor where we work. Then we went out back and used it to hang him.
As he speaks, his fists contract, going through the pulling motion again, savoring it.
We did this. Together. All of us. Until he was dead. That's why there's a container belt around his neck. Goddamn right.
No. These 7 honest men have equally come forth. They told you what happened so that you don't waste any more of your time.
How many people have you sent to the Shays? Ever felt remorse for them?
Or send them to Reunion to rot. For 20 years. For life.
Doesn't remember them. He just forgets. Are you hearing this, Titus?
Ain't no use keeping a stiff catalog in your head. That's for sure.
Are you deaf? There will be no singling anyone out. You can't arrest a Hardy Boy without arresting all Hardy Boys. Do you think you could do that? Do you think you could arrest them all?
Who do you fucking think does? You keep him the fuck out of this. We have autonomy. It's all on us. Evrard runs the Union. I run the Hardy Boys.
When Titus Hardy says he runs the Hardy Boys, he means that in an administrative capacity. On that night, everyone acted as one man. You don't have to keep answering his questions.
I know, Lizzie. Relax. We killed him last Sunday night. Seemed like a good way to end the week.
Known him? We don't associate with scum like that, asshole.
Yeah! Who do you think we are?
Quiet. He came around about 3 weeks ago when that Pines cow first sailed into town. Happy?
By the Pines cow, you mean Joyce Messier, the representative for White Pines? The same company you're striking against?
No. I mean the Pines cow. The stupid-ass cow they sent in to fuck us over. But you know what? Why don't you ask her about the pretty boy? I'm sure she has interesting things to say when you ask her hard enough.
That's enough insinuation for today, Titus. Officer, your interview is drawing to an end. Don't waste your last questions.
Why? 'Cause he was worthless mercenary scum. And he stepped out alive in my town. And he stepped out of line.
What kind of mercenary?
The kind that shows up when you start a strike. The experienced kind, too. Had Cohoy and Semenine written all over him. Ex-Oranese Special Forces.
A live grenade. Right here in our bar.
This one has a special gripe with him coming here.
I can't prove it, but I know he was sent by the Wild Pines. They hire merc shit like that. Story of every strike from here to Samara.
'Cause one night, he walked straight up to the mic and said, I'm RNA's goddamn special forces, and I'm gonna fuck you all.
Really?
Yeah, really. Had a gin and tonic up there, sang some RNA's paratrooper song, and said he's gonna fuck everyone.
We couldn't believe it either, but he fucking did, right there. Like some kind of animal.
Wrong. He harassed women, raped one, harassed workers, threatened to kill some as a warning.
There's slight unease in him, suddenly. He regrets mentioning the rape.
To kill us all, if we don't open the gates, if we don't let the scabs in, if we don't bend over. That was before he started coming here.
Yeah, he said it was his favorite joint now. Started coming here every night. Drinking, grabbing girls. Grabbed one of ours mid-karaoke, right there on the stage.
He grabbed someone?
Yeah, this girl's on the mic. A beautiful girl, young. Gets into the second verse of Lover Lake. The fucker grabs her legs, starts screaming. Show me your cunt! Why don't you show me your cunt? Then, he gets knocked on the head with a wine bottle. Doesn't even fall down.
Aren't you fucking listening? My man is talking to you. He took care of it. They got the girl out before anything else could happen.
Yeah, me and Eugene got around. Aren't you fucking listening?
No, you're not getting the name. That's a Martinez matter, and I'm not discussing it with you clowns.
Despite the stonewalling, you can slip one more question in.
Titus, do not answer. You have been forthcoming enough.
Fuck off, Carl. She's gone through enough without you harassing her too. She doesn't need more embarrassment.
What are you talking about? Embarrassment. If someone has been sexually assaulted, we need to...
What you need is to get the fuck out of my face. I've had enough of explaining myself to you fucks. He's dead. It's done.
As you can see, these men can only take so much baseless scrutiny. I'm doing my best to keep the situation civil, but...
It won't be for long, she means. It's true. She was the only thing holding him back.
We hanged him up by his neck until he got real still. Wasn't that obvious, copper?
Didn't they teach you anything at the cop school, idiot?
You're pretty sure you've had at least 2 years of cop school and many more of active service. Certainly enough to not put up with his backsass. Deliver a knockdown observation.
Maybe wrap it up instead?
Huh?
There was a bullet in the dead man's brain. Why was it there if you hanged him?
How the fuck do I know? Anyone could have shot him. Target practice, maybe.
This line of questioning is over. You got the cause of death already? Hanging. If there's any post-mortem trauma, it's your problem. This will not turn into a cross-examination.
This was a good move. Also, notice how Titus doesn't like her much, especially when she's calling the shots.
Nothing. Your investigation here is done. Leave Martinez, go back to your stations where you belong.
I think we're going to stick around, thanks. Some things don't add up here, Titus. I've done this job for long enough to know that people don't just confess to first-degree murder, even if it is a group responsibility. We're going to look into this.
Good luck with that. You've heard everything a rent-a-cop is gonna hear from us, real law officials. You're lucky you didn't get a beating.
Rent-a-cop? So that's what this is about. He doesn't see you as his equals.
Looks like the circus left town, but the clowns are still here. You still on about that bullet? A bullet in a hangman's head. You're right, Copper. That is mighty curious.
Indeed, mighty. How did it get there?
Well, there are so many bullets in the world, and so many heads. I guess it's only logical. At some point, one of them bullets had to end up in one of them heads.
It's bound to happen again, you know? Just statistically speaking, of course.
Wow! He's got it in a real evidence bag and all!
Why don't you go home and log it into evidence? These men have told you what happened.
You know what I think? I think he was shot in the head as a kid, and his brain grew around the bullet.
Around the bullet, man. That's a good one.
They're only pretending to enjoy this. Beneath the act, they don't like you knowing this.
Shit! I probably did shoot him. I was drunk last night. You guys know me when I'm drunk.
Yeah, Glenn likes to shoot his guns when he's drunk. Better hope he stays sober.
No, he meant before he was hanged. Did you shoot him before you hanged him?
Before? After? During? This is getting ridiculous. They told you what happened. Stop wasting your time.
Never been worried in my life, lawman.
Still here. Stuck in this damn jam, my man. What's up?
You see a Samaran street vendor surrounded by a motley assemblage of goods. When he realizes you're looking at him, his face breaks into a wide, welcoming grin. The name Sileng is embroidered over his breast pocket.
Happy shopping, officer! Everything's cool here. Everything's cool. The goods are cool, the customers are cool, the place is cool. And one more thing, officer.
From out on the bay, a cool wind gathers. It sweeps into the city, tugging at the textiles hanging around the stand. Some distance away, the sound of a tin can clattering across the street can be heard.
You're very cool. Bang, 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 bang! Oh, yes! You got style. You got personal style. You know what you like. You like premium menswear. Look around and browse. Everything looks cool on a guy like you. Take your time.
Don't be distracted by the flattery and funny man act. Questions?
Me? It's a boring story, officer. Who cares about the past? I'm all business now. All Revachol. Very sharp, officer. I'm Serais, from the Sigai province of the Serais Empire. The apricot suzerainty, you know?
The apricot suzerainty is what the Sigai archipelago is commonly known as in Revachol. It's a bit of a fraud term, I'm sure you understand.
No, apricots come from Sigai. My grandma used to grow them. But Sigai is a shithole. That's why I came to Revachol. Here's much better for an independent entrepreneur. Less laws. Speaking of, why not support an independent local entrepreneur? I send half my profits back to my grandma in Sigai.
Well, if it's for his grandma, you should buy a lot of things.
Drugs? I don't go in for that, officer. Drugs ruin lives. Unless you're into drugs, of course. In which case, drugs are excellent. Mwah! Tasty, tasty drugs. That's so cool. You investigating the local drug trade like some cool narc? But I am not a lorry driver. I am just a street vendor. I don't know anything about that. Who said that? It's the fat racist, right? I bet it's him. He has an agenda against me because I'm an immigrant who works harder than he does. He's a hater.
So you admit you're a lorry driver?
No, I just said I work harder and he's an asshole. Okay, maybe I'm a lorry driver too. A little. But that's not the most important thing about me. That's my day job. This is my dream. Nothing. I told you. I'm not a dumb guy. I don't get involved with that crowd.
And what crowd is that?
Crowd. You know, the drug crowd.
He doesn't want to talk about them. He's afraid.
Look. There's bad people doing bad things here. That's all I know. Please don't get me into this mess. I've spent 15 years working my way up. It's a she, okay? The other drivers call her the lady driver. You're better off staying away from her. The way they talk about her, she's no lady. All of them. I don't know. I told you all I know. Are we cool now? I really want us to be cool now.
Who exactly is talking about this lady driver of yours? The racist or the other one with the tattoos?
All of them. Even the ones who've left. I don't hang out with them. I don't remember who has tattoos. There's one by the statue of that king. I haven't gone near her. And I won't either.
The third driver. We haven't talked to her yet. Where exactly is she? Near the horseback monument?
In her lorry there. But I don't know if it's her. Are we cool now? I think we're cool now. All right. I scored. Let's cap this off with a purchase. You can walk away from here with funky sunglasses, detectives. Both of you. You deserve it.
An old monument stands in the middle of the traffic island. The small, wrinkled woman does not greet you. She nods along to something on her radio. A photograph is clutched in her hands, and there is a warm smile on her face. It's the warmth of a winter night's fire. Maybe she could give you comfort and shelter, some cigarettes and food money. Maybe she's your... No response. Wherever this woman is, your words fail to reach her.
If you want her attention, you may need to be more forceful.
Where am I? Who are you?
The smile on her face has disappeared, replaced by the weary aspect of a cornered beast.
Never mind. I remember now. I'm still stuck in that traffic jam in the 50s. Back in Mecca, during the time of the revolution, the sidewalks and cafes are filled with young people. I was on my way to see a new Boyadero picture starring Gabriel Buendero. Until you came along, that is. This is Gabriel Buendero.
A strikingly handsome man looks straight at you, his head crowned with a wide-brim hat. His hair is dark as an oil slick, and his jaw the most perfectly chiseled thing you've ever seen. This man's got a hold over her, even 50 years later. You can feel it.
He was the biggest star of his day. Girls used to faint in the aisles of cinema whenever he came on the screen, and schoolboys used to memorize all his lines. Someone was. They are someone's memories, boy. What difference does it make if it's me or not? They're beautiful. That is all that matters. Beautiful and true. And they will win. They're coming for this, you know? All of this.
She seems to derive some bitter pleasure from this strange thought, as if the past will one day wipe the present away, like a tidal wave approaching.
I wasn't dreaming. I was there, Lowman. It was early spring, and the man behind the black sun had just come out. The posters were 20 meters tall. Everything was golden. While you, people, were tearing each other apart over your petty little revolution, in Methk it was a golden age. Why not, Harife? It's not like I have anything better to do in this hellhole.
There's something off about this woman. Tell her to show you the soles of her boots. Maybe she was at the hanging somehow.
Now what do you want with an old woman's boots, Sheriff? Please? I think you should let me get back to Gabriel Buenguerro. You are not Gabriel. Gabriel doesn't say please.
She's wearing sturdy worker's boots, made of black leather. Buckles run across. The sole is also made of leather.
Just before Gabriel, it was the coronation of Franco Negro. Now, there was a real man. It was. And then it was no more. And I was no longer holding my father's hand. He was no longer descending the stairs in Ryle. The crowd had gone silent. Perhaps it was another Herife who came and woke me up, looking at my boots, asking questions. Or perhaps it was one of the others in this carnival. I don't remember.
As she says carnival, she gestures to the empty square with the statue and the machines.
I could have told you that from just looking at them. The size is 37.
The feet of a little girl, they fit well on the pedals.
She's just a distracted old woman. We should maybe let her get back to her things.
Come on, he thinks. She's not the lady driver.
You hear that, Lowman? I don't think your partner likes you spending too much time with me. Oh, don't worry about me. I'm one of the best camioners around. I drive routes no one else will. Lomonosov's Land, Udachnaya Zemlya, the Western Plain.
A terrible cold comes over her, rattling her teeth as she stares inward.
The Transcatolia Magistral. You for 1A. Adestradas du Mirador. All the good ones. The deep trenches. Where the bluebirds fly. Irmao. I already am dust. Diamonds. Of course not. But wouldn't it be marvelous if I was? Whatever stupid things they put in the lorry, I imagine. Is that all you wanted to know, Lowman? Of course not. To truly understand the Boyadero, you need to listen to On the Western Plain. It's an old ballad about a young girl who falls in love with a daring Boyadero. He promises to marry her as soon as he returns from the Western Plain. Of course not. The boyadero returns from the western plain a changed man. One night, as he and his beloved are out walking along the river Madrid, she pleads with him to give up his riding and settle down. So the boyadero strangles his beloved and throws her body in the Margaret. Then he rides off, because the western plain is calling to him. You have to understand, a true boyadero needs a whole horizon to himself. He can't be tied down by man or woman. His beloved was selfish. She didn't know what it meant to love a boyadero.
What if to truly love a boyadero is to float lifeless downstream?
What do I need drugs for, Lowman? What I see, what I feel, the great adversary, no drugs can compare. Yes, there is a protagonista and an adversario. I am on the side of the adversary. There's no coming back from that hole.
I don't like the sound of any of that. Sounds like a horrible drug. The worst one of them all.
Then what were you getting at?
This line of questioning is going nowhere. Try harder.
Why would I want to do that? Lowman, what in the name of God are you talking about? Maybe. Probably not. Makes no difference to me either way. Just this month I made half a dozen trips from Saramiriza to Grad, and the U41A. What do you think they take from Saramiriza to Grad, Lowman? It's diamonds, Lowman, obviously.
Damn this. Make her answer.
Easy. It's the skinny man who thinks he's a poet. Never trust a poet. Also, he's the only one I can see from here. Where do you want me to go? This isn't so bad. I can listen to music, or the seagulls. Look at all the colors and the futures of this world. It's a good palate cleanser, this jamboree. Or I can just relax and let my mind carry me back where it will, to the Great Plains.
I think we're done here, no?
Yes, go. Enough jamboree. I need to get back to Mesky. Lowman, you caught me at an opportune moment. So, did you just call me a lady, Herife?
She clearly doesn't think she's a lady. Don't repeat it.
I'm not that either, Herife. I've gone too far from it all to remember what was between my legs. It doesn't work like that on the long haul. I'm only terrifying to small children and to those who used to know me. Because they can no longer recognize the person I once was. The big ones, the trucks. There's no women and men there, it's all just... In the middle of this town, there's a ghostly motorway. It takes all the people where they want to stay.
You feel very cold suddenly, as if standing face to face with a terrifying adversary. Then the feeling dissipates, and all you see is an aging woman.
How should I know? Do I look like I spend a lot of time with the other communers sniffing around, when I have my movies to go to? Oh, Sim.
Something in her is pulling towards some unknown rest state. She twitches, like a sleep kick.
I don't know what you're talking about. Listen up, fuckwits. You don't scare me. You cops don't run Evangel West. You don't run Martinez. You don't run anything.
No. He means La Puta Madre.
The name resounds like a bell in the air. A dark gong. You get a bad feeling about it. Looks like the lieutenant has a plan. Let him do this.
Yeah, him.
Then I presume you are familiar with his peonies.
Yeah, they're his little bitches. He's got them all over the unions.
Not just the unions. He has peonies everywhere. Some say he even has them in the RCM. Dirty fucking peonies who'd do anything for him. Multi-ethnic drug addicts.
You're not peonies. You wouldn't be investigating a drug thing if you were.
No, of course not. We are not peonies. But if we were, and one of Madre's drivers were to be stealing from him, then it's a good peony's job to find out who that is. It's not a hard job. It won't take a long time. It won't make Padre Madre angry. But a stupid fucking racist is standing in the way, protecting this fucking thief.
I'm not scared of you or the mob. I'm under the protection of the Lorrymen and Carters Guild.
You've seen that corpse in the ceramic armor there. Did his shitty little guild protect him?
Nah, you wouldn't just leave him out there if you...
The lieutenant turns and gives you a barely perceptible nod. I softened him up as best I could. Now it's on you to finish the job.
Looking for something?
The main thing is...
Looking for something?
Men like this only respect two things. Strength and fear. Time to turn up the volume.
Fuck you, I told you. I'm not gonna...
There. His voice grows smaller as yours.
Look, fuck you, man. It's some lorry down there. Green, banged up thing. I don't fucking know who she is.
When did she go away?
I don't know. I don't even know her name. She just rolls with the fleet and acts like a big shot. Some dyke, probably. I haven't even seen her for days.
Now it's not a big deal for him anymore. This is how he saves face.
Past the monument. Down there. The Green Temple. Now leave me the fuck alone, okay?
A small temple by the monument. Green. Let's get into that lorry.
Looks like he got his adrenaline up, too.
Still here. Stuck in this damn jam, my man.
This green found, A to Z, Contemporain, is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's seen better days.
This must be the one he told us about, unless he was lying.
The glass on the side windows is tinted and covered with dust. You can barely make out the shape of a seat and two steering levers. It feels like you're peeking into someone's home residence. Inside it's private, cozy, warm, dusty too. The door is locked. The handle looks shiny, like it's recently replaced.
Use the pry bar to smash the window. Open it from the inside. I don't know how good it is, but this investigation has taken long enough. We can't afford it to take any longer.
This screen found, A to Z, contemporain, is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's seen better days. This screen found, A to Z. With a firm grip, you raise the pry bar. A glint of light catching on the tip. Call down the hammer of truth and justice. Release your secrets, lorry cabin. The window shatters, and droplets of glass fly everywhere, shattering over the lorry floor and pavement.
Subtle.
The smell of cigarettes and perfume welcomes you. The cabin inside is plastered with old movie posters. Actresses smile from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. Some tools lie scattered near the pedals. These are movie posters featuring starlets from long-forgotten films from the 20s, the teens, even the 90s of the last century. One of them particularly catches your eye, a centerfold of an ingenue attached right above the back seat. The actress is draped in a sheath dress, one of her shoulders bared. The faded remains of an autograph run across the poster. She's looking past the camera. A feeling of tenderness washes over you. A longing even, perhaps. And gentle tragedy. Wait, doesn't she resemble someone you know? But you can't put your finger on whom exactly. The actresses and the rear actor all smile you a warm goodbye. Looks like the frequency dial is absent. It requires a key to work, but the key has been removed. Likely by the missing lady driver.
Strange. There are so many radio stations saved here. Must be over 100 at least. For contacting an entire fleet of lorrymen, for example. This is all shortwave, UW and UKV. Looks like we are dealing with an impressive organizational tool. The nerve center of a huge operation. With quite a range too. Doesn't look like it. It's completely inoperable without the dial key.
The smell of 1,000 cigarettes, some dead actresses, and a rusty old toolbox under the seat. You wedge yourself under the steering wheel to get a better look. Seems like the few tools lying around here, a hammer, a pair of pliers, a rusty wrench, have been casually thrown there by the disorganized driver. But one odd detail does catch your eye. A piece of sandpaper has been glued to the throttle.
Sandpaper? A novel technique. Must be to offer some extra grip to the driver's foot. Yes?
Do the honors, he thinks. Connect it yourself.
Which means that the missing lady driver was present at the lynching. Looks like her, yes. Now we know for certain who is the missing 8th person at the lynching. Do you think that Hardy and his boys could also be involved in the drug operation? We should talk with Titus, see what he's got to say on the matter. Are we finished with the lorry?
The movie stars are still smiling from the walls. A metallic drawer slides out from the seat. It's empty, except for a folded newspaper. It's an issue of Peripherique from last Wednesday. A piece of paper falls out from its pages. It looks like an article ripped out from a radio enthusiast magazine. Complex mathematical equations explain the basics of something called the Ulan frequency system. These formulas look oddly painful. Maybe it's the hangover, but they give you a headache.
The Ulan frequency system? I've never heard of that before. I know of FM, AM, UKV, but...
The pull-out toolbox slides back into its nest. The rest is as it was. Radio, posters, a trace of motor oil smell under all the cigarettes. You close the rusty old lorry door.
Great. I think we got everything. A word, detective? Before we return to Joyce? All right, we've finished here. Let's quickly debrief and go over what we found, so we don't do it in front of the company rep. Honestly, I'm quite worried by what we've seen so far. The evidence seems to point to a rather extensive and well-organized operation. I'm especially intrigued by that radio transmitter, particularly the sheer number of stations it can connect. Looks like this alleged drug trade casts a wide net. I'm not sure what the Ulan frequencies are all about, but they may hold some significance. Perhaps it's a better way to connect between fleets while avoiding frequency bleed, or maybe it's used to tap into RCM networks.
Listening in on your calls between you and your station, a worrying prospect.
And last but not least, it looks like the Hardy Boys knew this driver, as we know that she was present at the lynching. This may be the Union connection we've been searching for.
The probe and the case converged, he thinks. This was quite the find.
As elegant as they are, I don't think they are relevant to the drug trade.
Don't be fooled. Desire always plays a role.
I'm going to say no. Like Joyce told us, yes, logistically. But don't expect to bust this open during our stay here. At best, this is an angle we can use against them, to other ends, as extra ammunition. We should return to the murder case, see what Joyce tells us about the lynching. When we are done for the day, I call my station and suggest our narcotics department look into it. There are more than enough grounds to start an official investigation, sometime later when we are done here. We do not want to get caught in that. The fact that one hasn't started already gives me pause. An investigation, I mean. Especially if the Madrid grouping is involved, and I can't imagine they aren't. It's certainly worrisome. All the same, I don't like the idea of internal affairs descending on the matter. That won't help anyone either. Debrief over, after you.
I saw you poking around in Lady Driver's lorry. She in trouble? It's that bad. Man, what should I do? What should I do to help her? Damn. I always warned her to watch herself. Man. Nothing to do now, I guess. Maybe I should just keep my head down and work on my rhymes while I can. Oh, you know. Tommy Leham's gonna be a musician. Sprechgesang, but with beats. I've got a lot of free time on the road to hone my craft. Tommy Lam was taken. My real name's Jerry Lafitte. Tommy's way better.
It's more him. The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm. The sight of bullet holes stirs something in you. making you forget the lieutenant's surname. The faded marks are too degraded to draw any forensic conclusions. Just chips in the sandstone.
Where? There? Those are old. Yes, the one that happened half a century ago. Those bullets were fired during the revolution and do not warrant an investigation by officers of civil law. Not much. I don't have a fresh perspective on it. Shall we go?
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Not an umbrella, I hope. I don't need one myself, you see.
All around you, rain keeps falling down. On the wooden boards she's standing on, and on the water around you.
Very rugged. Good choice. Now, I suspect you had questions. Nothing like talking to pass a rainy day. Am I right? Yes, my eyes on the harbour have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered? It doesn't really matter, and I do apologize for the surveillance. Wild Pines can't afford to be blind at a time like this. In any case, it's a relief to know someone has looked into it. If I may ask, will there be an official investigation? I assume you discovered there is an operation.
She's trying to conceal her excitement, but the slight glimmer in her green eyes tells you otherwise. The lieutenant is about to interject. Cut him off. This decision should be yours.
If there is an investigation, it will be part of an ongoing operation, subject to confidentiality. I am sure you understand.
Of course, detectives. In any case, you've held up your end of our arrangement. I trust you with the rest. Now it's my turn. I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I'm afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands.
The words bloodbath sound cold in her mouth. They taste of iron and strawberries.
Yes. I'm afraid this strike may descend into a small-scale civil war, with possible consequences for all of Rivershoal West.
Since you are sharing, ma'am, this is also the RCM's worst-case scenario.
Then we're on the same page, as grim as it may be. I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail. They were dispatched after I relayed the union's initial offer.
Every worker...
A member of the board. I tried to convince my employer it was simply a piece of rhetoric, or a joke. They did not appreciate the humor. Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering.
Who are they, exactly?
Crenell, an Oranese military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, our relationship is deteriorating. They wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment.
So, what happened?
The story is, one of them, the Colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in rags and lynched last Sunday night. Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbor. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Crenell contractors carry out their orders, for now. It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow.
What is the nature of this so-called investigation?
Whether to execute one, some, or all of the Union militants.
It'll be all of them. The decision is already made.
It is very far from disco. My only hope is that you provide a single, concrete suspect before the mercenaries indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put, if you don't pin this on someone good, and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond.
They would have to project strength and power.
The Debarders have over 2,000 men. It will be 1,000 to 1.
Have you ever seen a Hornet invade a beehive, Lieutenant? It's not pretty. These men work in tandem using semi- and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all. As I said, a bloodbath. It doesn't have to be like this. Nameless, badgeless officer of the citizens' militia. One single concrete suspect delivered into civil court, and I may be able to defuse this situation. Not much. Their public resume is relatively good, as far as private military contractors go. I believe they were once called Downwell.
Down a deep, black well.
They boast a long list of clients. Saint-Baptiste, Welchman-Lorenz, Eintracht. A warning sign, however. The operations concerned all take place in third or fourth world countries. Guarding facilities, escort missions and such.
Meaning they're used to operating in war zones.
Yes. All the good conflict corridors. Supramundi, Yesut, the Seminese Islands. Countries that don't have a good record reporting atrocious military conduct on their soil. Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the resources. If you still have access to the ICP's database, you could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time, though.
Do you know a lot about the inner workings of the RCM and the ICP, ma'am?
In my line of work, it pays to do your research. I was prepared to deal with the RCM. I did not think I'd be dealing with a group like Crenell. I have, and they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us. Or he didn't. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it. That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez.
The lieutenant consults his notebook, his eyebrows knitted in concentration.
Odd. We haven't heard any reports about an assault in connection with the lynching. Where did it take place? And when?
Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates. Supposedly, the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him. That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumor. About a rumor. In any case, it's what the colonel's remaining colleagues believe.
You'll meet her soon enough, you feel.
If you mean did I see him alive, yes. But I did not know him.
You don't know how you know. It's not written on her face, nor in her voice, but she had sympathy for this man.
Liked is a bit strong. He was the most charismatic among them. He handled all the talking. His departure left a major gap in the group's communication skills. Lely, his service name, a nom de guerre most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one. One is a man, Corty, they call him, a nickname as well. The other a woman, Phyllis DePaul. Corty is the gunner, I believe. DePaul is a radio operator.
What would you say was his eye color, the deceased's?
She closes her eyes, trying to picture the man's face, then shakes her head.
I can't remember.
That's all right, man. Anything else? Nationality? What would you say was his age?
He was 40. Or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age, or gauge his facial expressions.
Indeed. This matches the dental reconstruction we saw on the body. What else? Nationality? Accent?
He was, Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent. Oranese. Or Messinian, maybe. His injury gave him an accent all his own. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it. Through the injury. That's all I know, I guess. I only met him once. They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. For one, they're almost certainly armed to the teeth. They don't have the same respect for the Revachol citizens' militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes. Ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting.
Vigilantes. You're a professional officer of the only legitimate authority in Revachol.
That's wise. Our goal is to avert catastrophe. Besides, you're likely to encounter them sooner or later. Until the executions start? Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress identifying the members of the lynch mob, and their impatience.
They don't report their progress to you?
Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative.
5 days, not more. Maybe sooner.
It's a matter of days, not weeks. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask. Of course. Excuse my hesitation before.
For about half a minute, in silence.
It was taken with a trigette not long ago. This is the man's upper body. There were no more markings on his hands or legs.
Her mouth is relaxed. The accordion lines near her mouth vanish. The pearls of her eyes move slowly on the photo's surface. She has no excess of emotions for this cadaver. Has she seen dead bodies before? It's likely.
Sorry. I was trying to see if I can read the web of interdependencies between these points. The stars. I can't. But that's how you read this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers, anything. Their size, location on the body, and distance from each other tells you what they represent. Port cities. On the oceans. This is an Oranese map of the waterways, a sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the Delorian century. As early as 300 years ago, the sailors would mark their bodies to map their travels. Quite a few. Vredefort, the Oranese capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. He started somewhere near here, I think.
What next?
Then he made his way to the Preto Grande, through what I think must be the Stutz Canal, an artificial channel through the Occident. From the Preto, He sailed to the Insulindic Ocean, first to Semines Islands, then this. Revachol. Those are the two constants. Redefort on the shoulder, and Revachol in the heart. They started the tradition of these maps right after the discovery of Insulinde, at the dawn of the Interinsulary Age.
You said you can't read it.
I can't. This man was no sailor, and these are no ports. I can understand geographic fragments, but not their meaning.
Somewhere in an office lit by a single green desk lamp, Captain Ptolemaeus Price, 58, bald and bespectacled, is writing in a ledger on his desk. Rows and rows of days and weeks, laconic remarks in a single column. Patrol, case, vacation, injured. In Martinez, looking into Krenel, he writes in one. Then the man puts down his pen and rubs his temples with both hands. Outside, there is a siren. Distant gunshots on the streets of the Jamrock Quarter.
That makes sense to me. We have no more use for a map of the waterways, just like we don't need sailors the way we used to. This is what the custom would morph into on the Occident. Mercenary tattoos. The sailor's soul would use it to fly back home if they should die abroad. This is a sort of contraption to be reeled back in by. The silver cord, they would call it.
Where is he now?
I would say he's near the Arcade Islands by now, ready to exit the Insulindian and enter the Pale, if I've read his home address correctly. His platoon members? The other contractors, though I do not suggest you go and show them that picture. This man was their friend and comrade. Is there anything else I can help you with?